And it looks like it's going to get a little hotter in here for the Iceman because Phil Hellmuth has arrived in uniform, no less.
Somebody pinch me, and I hope I wake up.
I think we should salute him. Sir.
You don't have to cheer for me. Cheer for the girls. Come on. The Iceman.
What's up, big man?
How you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing all right.
You're a bad man.
At least he's sane.
And by the way, I'm thinking about going to Afghanistan in December.
Really?
To visit the troops, yeah. Because I've never been in the military. I feel like I owe them something, you know?
We all owe them something.
Yeah, I feel like I owe them something, and if I can make one trip over there, you know, and host some poker tournaments for them and give them some DVDs and books, just one trip, I feel like I can maybe get even for life, you know.
They would love that.
Because the troops need to be supported.
Hellmuth in a war zone? That'll bring the troops home.
Phil, of course, won the main event back in 1989 with less than 200 entrants at that time. Now there are hundreds here just to watch the main event and win. All right, let's get back over to our feature table and see how Phil Hellmuth has settled in next to Chuck Liddell.
Chuck's got some game, Phil. Be careful here. I'm just having fun playing with guys I watch on TV, that's all.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, is he going to be in the Colonel Klink outfit all day?
Well, I think he's going for the Patton-esque look, and I think he's got it. Send for 200. Gil George now. Couple of deuces. And George makes the call. Liddell now mixing it up today.
Chuck loves action.
Jack 8. And Chuck's back in the ring.
Is there an adjustment I can make to my TV set?
The 11-star General folds. That's one for each bracelet, by the way. Over to Del Biagio. 9-5 from the big blind. He checks his options. 4 players in for the minimum.
Oh, Omar Bradley is calling. Probably wants his riding crop back.
Flop is 10, deuce, 9. That's a set of deuces for George. Del Biagio with a pair of 9s checks. Safe bets 200 with ace high.
Safe with nothing makes a next to nothing bet.
George with a set of deuces makes the call. Liddell's got a straight draw.
Make it 500.
And raises to 500. Del Biagio folds. Safe. A glutton for punishment calls.
Really? I guess he figures he can outplay Chuck to the finish line.
He hates to be a spectator. George is going to re-raise all in.
Well, Chuck's not the one that Safe has to worry about.
500, right?
Liddell next to act.
You made it 500? Is that right? Okay. I'm out. I fold.
Safe folds out of turn.
He's first, though. He's first. Oh! Sorry.
Who's the pro? Who's the amateur here?
I don't want to pick a fight with him, but how can Liddell be thinking about calling here?
Liddell now would need to go all in to call this.
I hate to do this if I heard you. You know what? I'll just go all in.
He calls all in. And he's behind on the cards.
Yeah, Chuck goes all in on a draw, and he's in big trouble. He's 6'2", 205, and he's about to go down at the hands of a 62-year-old commercial real estate fella.
All right, turn card now is a 4. No help to Liddell.
Liddell looking for a straight. He needs a 7 or a queen, or he is knocked out of the main event.
River card is a king, and that's going to do it. Gil George wins the hand. TKO over Chuck Liddell.
Good playing with you, bud. Good playing with you. Good luck in your fight, bud.
Good job, man. I'll have to come by one of your fights soon.
Yeah, Chuck will leave you a ringside seat in Afghanistan.
So the light heavyweight is out.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best fighters in the world.
And the heavyweight is just from the stands. We should note Phil has changed into his more familiar uniform than the one he was wearing when he arrived. All right, action continues at this featured table. In the yellow is Jerry Cusick from Denver at his first main event with a fold. Kathleen Gleva is an attorney from Newark, Ohio with pocket 4s.
She's a family law attorney, Lana. I think I know her.
She calls for 300. Gil George with ace deuce of clubs. He cashed once already in this year's World Series. He limps in. Donald Hobbs, king 7, into the muck. On to Phil Hellmuth. Despite his 2 final tables this year, he's a little disappointed with his World Series performance. 6-5 offsuit.
All right, I'm going to raise it up.
Raise it up.
1,400 more.
Makes it 1,700 total.
Phil in the big blind, mixing it up early.
Gleva folds. George decides to make the call. Heads up with Phil Hellmuth. Flop is ace, tray 5. George with a pair of aces and a wheel draw. Hellmuth picked up a pair of 5s.
Phil's first main event was in 1988. He was knocked out by Johnny Chan in 33rd place. The following year, he beat Chan heads up for the title.
Hellmuth bets 1,700. George makes the call.
Phil at least looking the way he's supposed to look now.
8 on the turn is no help to Hellmuth, who's way behind.
Yeah, Phil has fallen further behind each step of the way.
He checks. George checks behind him. Now the river card, and that free card pays off for Hellmuth. 2 pair and the check mark.
And he looks at his cards again when he improves, just like Chuck Liddell.
3,800.
3,800 to call for George.
Left with a pair of aces, which aren't a winner.
But he pays off, Phil.
5s and 6s.
Well, 6s and 5s.
And that's good enough.
I wins.
Boy, if the shoe were on the other foot in this hand, Lon, we would get a speech.
So Phil Hellmuth takes advantage of that free card and takes the pot.
Now we're playing the game.
Pretty lucky.
Well, if luck weren't involved.
Oh, I deserve a break or two. Don't worry.
That was a professional move, not an advanced amateur, right?
I don't make my moves with ace-8. That's the amateurs. The pros make their moves with the 7-8 suiteds and 5-6s. Ace-8, you get yourself in a lot of trouble with.
Well, we still got a speech.
All right, let's go over to table 2, and your guy, Phil Ivey, the World Championship bracelet, but that's not all our winner gets this year. On the E-Trade Financial Tournament ticker, you see they get $9.1 million. Jerry Yang won the second largest main event prize in history last year.
The main event was winner-take-all until 1977. 34 entrants that year, and Doyle Brunson won $340,000.
This year's world champion will emerge from a field of 6,844. Phil Hellmuth now with ace-queen offsuit. Limps in for 300. Action over to Grady Talbot. Grady looks down at pocket trays from the small blind. And he limps in. 150 it cost him. 24-year-old Donald Hobbs, who is the same age Phil Hellmuth was when he set the record for youngest main event winner. In the big blind,
He makes the call.
he'll check his option with 10-4. 3 players see the flop. It is ace 4-10. Hobbs hits 2 pair. Phil Hellmuth hit a pair of aces. Talbot, no improvement to his trays, first to act. He checks it. Hobbs checks his 2 pair.
You know, Hellmuth raises pre-flop. Hobbs ain't around to flop 2 pair. You got to mix up your play. It just backfired there on Phil.
Phil bets 1,000. Talbot folds. Hobbs makes the call. Heads up to the turn now. It is another 10 and a full boat for young Hobbs.
Phil Hellmuth now with aces up and drawing all but dead.
Hobbs with a small bet of 700.
That's a tiny bet. That's 700 into a pot of over 3,000.
All right, I call.
It's nothing for Phil to call with his aces up. And he does. River card now is a 9, and Hobbs earns the check mark. No improvement to Hellmuth. Hobbs first to act. It's 1,000.
Call.
And a quick call from Phil.
Another tiny bet, just inexperience from Hobbs. I don't think that was a value bet.
Phil shows aces up.
Bring your hand over, man.
The inexperienced Hobbs finally shows his cards.
Great 10. 10's full of 4.
I got a boat. Full house, I got.
Countdown to Hellmuth liftoff. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, maybe a kinder, gentler Phil.
Hobbs will take the pot.
What's going on here? Good hand, man.
You know Phil's got something on his mind. Spill it, Phil.
Come on, man. I limped in for 300 thinking someone's going to go for the money. What the heck is going on here?
I thought he played better with the riding crop.
So Hobbs with that full house takes a few chips off the former world champ, and as Phil continues to be Phil, let's go to the other Phil. Phil Ivey at table continues to get smaller and smaller. Let's get back to the featured table and check on our main man, Phil Hellmuth.
Phil listening to ABBA.
All right, action at this featured table continues with Kathleen Gleva. The attorney looks down at ace-king offsuit.
By the way, what am I going to do with Phil Ivey? He's the best player, and he's won 1 bracelet in the last 6 World Series. He's making both of us look bad.
Yeah, he was your pick, right?
Yes, he was my pick. Okay, thanks for reminding me.
Jack 10 of diamonds for Gil George. He calls the 900 chip raise that Gliva made.
I should just pick Gil George to win the main event. Who do you got?
I have Kirill Gerasimov, the Russian. Watch out.
Good luck.
Hobbs folded. Hellmuth with pocket
Raise it
queens.
up. 23.
He makes it 3,200 total. It'd be 2,300 more to Gliva.
Actually, Hellmuth, despite all of our differences, is my second favorite, Phil.
Gliva called, and George will call. So 3 players. Phil leads the way with his pocket queens. Try to get Kathleen and Gil's chips here. Now the flop. 7, 9, 4. Hellmuth's queens are still good, but Gil picked up flush and straight draws. Gliva missed it. Phil is going to bet 4,500.
Hellmuth has changed his style
My
of late.
biggest bet of the tournament.
He's aggressive
Hold
and
him.
mixing it up early in tournaments more than he used to.
And his big bet forces a fold from Gliva. Action on Gil George now. Straight and flush draws.
Come on, raise it.
And he's going to move all in. 25,500.
Wowie.
The old Phil would lay this down in a heartbeat early on in a tournament before he would risk most of his chips.
Why do I think you have the ace jack of diamonds over there, buddy?
Pretty good read.
And he calls. Phil ahead with his queens against the draws of Gil George.
No, I have queens. I have queens. He called 2,300 more with jack 10.
And if Jack 10 beats him, I fear for Gil George.
No kidding. And the whole Rio poker room. And ace is no help to George on the turn.
Hellmuth holding on, a 3-1 favorite. George needs an 8 for a straight or a diamond to stay alive.
River card is a 4.
Yes! Yes!
Hellmuth wins that big
Yes!
pot. And Gil George has been eliminated. Didn't you pick him?
Oh, geez, that wasn't official.
Battle, man.
Phil was put to the test with George's big bet. Phil rightly trusted his gut, and that is the planter's good instinct moment.
I can win a coin flip too, baby.
My other Phil is happy.
You're on the Hellmuth bandwagon now?
I went with my read. What do you want me to do?
Act like a socially adjusted, normal adult.
That deserves a celebration. Come on now. All right, all right.
A Phil with chips is a dangerous Phil. 2 new players at our featured table. Jim Ruffalo from Bakersfield, California, owns a couple of McDonald's franchises there. And Kenneth Terrell from Atlanta, Georgia, an attorney turned poker pro. Action on the 89 main event champion Phil Hellmuth on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam. Phil has 5 tray of clubs. Phil will limp in for 400. Now Ruffalo. 5 tray of diamonds.
They both have 5 tray long,
Suited.
but not the same suit.
Action over to Kenneth Terrell. Terrell, ace jack.
Terrell made a final table here at the World Series this year.
He'll call from the small blind for 200. And Donald Hobbs. Pocket queens in the big blind.
You can check a race for that.
And he's going to move all in his last 3,800. Hellmuth folds his 5 tray.
You know, Phil's calling card is patience. He will wait for another spot.
The only reason Johnny Chan did not three-peat was because of this guy. Phil Hellmuth beat Johnny heads up for the title in 89. Phil in a hand right now with Bobby Law.
God, I wish I could be at this table.
Phil Lock, an anxious spectator. Law put out a bet and Phil lays it down.
The poker brat seldom folds without comment.
Oh, Law shows that he bluffed Phil out of his chips.
You know I'm going to have to take you out now, right?
If it weren't for luck, all the money. Thank God about the luck stuff.
But why? Hey, Phil, check in 5 hours. I'll have all of his orange chips, I think, by then.
Eventually, my man has everyone's orange chips.
Let's check in on 89 champ Phil Hellmuth. When we last saw him, he was being bluffed by Bobby Law. These two are hooked up again. This time, Bobby is the one folding.
There is no Phil Hellmuth rule. He can still be Phil Hellmuth.
No more bluffs. All right, guys. One around. Guys, take it easy.
I don't know. You're the kind of guy might not be around in 2 hours. No, I'll have the goods because I'm going to just check and slow play it.
I wouldn't want there to be a Phil Hellmuth rule.
Good right now. At another table, Phil Hellmuth. After he won the big one in 89, he made it back to a main event final table in 2001.
Wow, see, this time I put you on a big hand. But, you know, I have something. I'm not out there.
Phil was raised by Ramsey Jalassi and folds.
When I was 19 years old, I had the sickest dream that I'm going to win the main event. First time I played. I don't know. It might be true.
It's good to dream, son.
Back at the Rio, our E-Trade Financial Tournament ticker, you see that Phil Hellmuth holds the record for most World Series cashes.
And Hellmuth at age 43, the youngest on that accomplished list.
To an outer table where Phil has pushed all in.
You can't win this without winning a big pot, right?
His opponent is Matt Vengren. Vengren with a big decision. And he is going to fold against Hellmuth and shows pocket queens.
You want the truth?
Yeah,
Okay, I had one of 3 hands.
I know, that's why I put you on.
Aces, kings, or ace king. That's the truth.
One of them, and I was only
I believe Phil, because I don't think he's moving all in pre-flop at this point of the tournament without a really big hand.
Elsewhere, Phil Hellmuth just bet into a big pot on the turn.
Bye-bye, Phil, or bye-bye somebody.
I'm sorry, is Phil doing stretches during the hand, or are his shorts just bunched up?
Action on Bobby Law, a frequent sparring partner of Phil's, and he lays it down.
Go one time.
You want me to show?
They have been bluffing back and forth.
All right.
Once again.
4 deuce squadouche.
You guys want to play some poker with me? Let's go, baby. You want to play poker? Play the playa.
What would a main event be without a new catchphrase from Phil Hellmuth? At an outer table, Phil Hellmuth flopped a pair of aces, Tony Clark a set of 10s. After the turn, Hellmuth is drawing dead, and Clark has pushed all in for $49,000.
27.
Who calls the clock?
The clock has been called on Phil Hellmuth.
27.
Did a player at the table call for the clock?
Yeah.
Phil doesn't like that.
Well, just admit you called the clock.
Ramsey Jalassi called the clock.
Why would you do that to me?
Floor table 27.
How long did that take?
4 minutes.
Big decision for Phil. But he makes the call and will lose that big pot.
Ace-king can get you into so much trouble so many ways.
Hellmuth is steaming.
Watch this idiot put all his money into 6s.
You bet I did.
Ace 10 and all these crazy bad plays he made.
I knew I was going to get you.
Phil always has a target on him. Of course, Phil creates a larger target for himself.
Probably won't make it to the end of the day. You had me dead that hand. Nice hand, sir. Honey,
Speaking of Phil,
they dealt him aces and they dealt me ace king again.
Those dirty, rotten scoundrels. I hope Phil got away from ace-king.
But I folded the ace king like right away.
Why'd you fold it, Phil?
He showed me
He
aces.
folded him because he's the greatest hold'em player in the history of the universe.
Phil, one of 3 remaining champions still left. And there is the man with the most bracelets in World Series history, Phil Hellmuth with 11. He's in a hand right now with Raymond Yee, who puts out a bet to Phil. How dare he? Action on Hellmuth. But he's going to fold.
He seems bothered.
He is antsy.
Come on, get some hands out, please, dealer. I just ate. I feel great. They're all starving. They're ready to throw it off, buddy.
It's Phil against the
Let's
world.
get some hands, baby.
To another table now.
All right, I'm all in.
Phil Hellmuth has raised enough to put his opponent Raymond Yee all in. After the turn, there are 3 spades and 2 jacks on the board.
Oh, my God.
Translation, either I'm about to lay down the best hand or take a bite out of a legend and get an earful.
Can't believe it.
Yee is going to fold.
Take it, Phil.
Shows 8-7 of spades for the flush, but laid it down.
Boy, he lays down the flush on the turn.
I play so bad. Turn the last card, baby.
I wasn't going to push on the flop.
You're drunk dead on the flop. I flopped the king high flush.
Or maybe I had ace king.
I don't think Phil had the flush. He wanted to see the river card.
Didn't matter what he had, he won the pot. He's over 250,000 chips right now. And the field is one closer to the money now. 2 former main event champs remaining here. One of them, Phil Hellmuth, is all in. 89 champ is up against Raja Katamori on a board of Queen 5 deuce.
Mikey, there's already 300,000 in the middle, and I'm all in.
Phil gives us an update.
Oh, I'm not claiming queens.
Katamori folds.
Buddy, he raised me. I re-raised him 60,000. He raised me. I re-raised him 60,000 and shipped it all. What do you think I had, boys?
Who needs Sports Center? Phil gives you instant highlights.
3-4. It was a straight draw.
Phil's having a lot of fun at this main event, it looks like. At another table, there is the record holder for youngest main event winner ever, Phil Hellmuth, with just a couple of months shy of his 25th birthday when he won it all in 1989. Phil just raised pre-flop. His opponent has re-raised. And Hellmuth mucks.
When Phil mucks, his mind races with very bad thoughts.
Buddy,
Uh-oh, he's hot and bothered.
you don't respect any of my raises right now. Please, please give me another hand. I gotta send somebody home, please.
Across the room, Phil Hellmuth has now extended his record of most cashes at the World Series to 68, facing an all-in bet by Tom Cope on the flop.
This is how I make all my money. I'm making great moves right here.
Phil Hellmuth making his patented speech. And this is not the most attentive audience the Poker Brat has ever had. Well, it was a concession speech.
Phil folds. Cope will take that pot.
Sometimes he's a poker brat, sometimes he's a poker king. At all times, he is unmistakably Phil Hellmuth. And his next-door neighbor today at the table is the equally talkative Jean-Robert Balland, a.k.a. Bobby of Survivor China fame.
The blinds will start at 2,500 and 5,000. 500 chip ante from each player.
Let me see those glasses. You're not going to believe this. His glasses have my signature in the...
Yeah, I
see
believe it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Why would you wear those today?
Come on, man. I just ate, bro. Come on. Phil, stop.
They have my signature in the lens.
Just, I'm short stacked. I'm having a rough day already. Don't.
No, he attended my... He came up to me yesterday, he said...
Actually, Adam Kennedy attended Phil's poker camp and apparently came back with a souvenir. Now, the Milwaukee's best side pocket camp, Phil looks down at Queen Jack off. That is Sarkis Akopian from Moscow. King Jack offsuit.
Akopian graduated from a technology college in Armenia. I believe they are the Demon Deacons.
Balland now in the big blind, 5-4.
Everybody would think that you would be raising my big blind. Instead, you protected my big blind. I love it.
Well, I limped in with ace-queen on the TV table last time, and the guy had 10-4. It came 10-4 ace.
Ooh, how did that work out?
It didn't work out well for me.
Phil never forgets.
So we've got 3 limpers. The flop is 7, Jack 10, Akopian and Hellmuth pair their Jack. Akopian's king kicker with the lead.
That's how you check, Lon.
Yeah. Hellmuth bets 11,000.
Man, that's how you bet 11,000 with the second best hand.
Akopian raises.
Man, that's how you raise with the best hand.
Everybody playing perfect poker. Raised to 25,000. Balland gets out of the way. Hellmuth calls.
My man is in trouble.
So heads up to the flop. Akopian with the advantage. Ace, both now with straight draws.
Each needs the other's kicker to make a straight.
Hellmuth checks. Scare card for both. River card, 3 of spades. Akopian with that better kicker earns the check mark.
Now, well, it's a blank on the river. Hellmuth figures his jacks are good.
8,000 into a pot of 72,000. And a call.
Jacks.
Jacks with a weaker kicker. Akopian, jacks with a better kicker.
And through his signature shades, Phil can see he is outkicked. And Phil has no cause for complaint either.
Come on.
That's what I get for playing that hand.
You're right.
Should have mucked the queen jack.
Phil tried to set the tone, but he got bit there.
Yes. Bracelet number 11. It's been living in New York for a long time.
Maybe it needed some emotional distance from Phil.
My sister Molly. I won bracelet number 11 on 6/11, and she was born 11/11. A lot of 11s.
And poker casinos are open 24/7.
Oh, come on.
As are
now.
7-Elevens.
Come on now. Start your own string, son.
Phil has never shied away from tooting his own horn, but in this tournament, he seems to be playing with even more confidence than usual.
That was the Robert hand. I was still thinking of it. You're right. That was just cold. He thought he'd won. He's jumping up and down. He thought it was over.
The fact that he has to sweat it pre-flop, against 10-9, you know, like expecting. You know.
And it's ace-8, it's over.
Yeah, that would have been a bad beat anytime, even more dramatic when it happens at this stage of the main event. Hellmuth looks down at a queen of spades and squeezes out a 3 of hearts.
Hellmuth and Johnny Chan, the only main event champion still alive in this field. And it looks like Hellmuth decides to get frisky with queen 3 offsuit.
Yeah, he raises to 16,000 on Andy Schultz now, 23 years old, born in Madison, Wisconsin, same as Phil.
And like Phil, he also went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Schultz with ace-queen offsuit.
Phil won the main event at age 24, so maybe Schultz has designs on it at age 23.
He's going to re-raise to 44,000.
This is what I do. I bust people.
Considering the action between the two Wisconsin players, action back to Phil now.
Wow, I've raised 3 pots. Honey, I raised 3 pots. They came over the top of me twice.
He may be talking to his wife, but I'd like to think he's talking to me.
They don't respect my bets. It's a classic setup for me, baby.
This guy. This freaking guy.
Phil folded.
Just watch, baby. You see it every day, though, so you know.
I know, Puddin'.
Hey, at least you're still dodging bullets.
You're going to need to put your chips to the left or right of that.
Once they start raising me, so they have no respect for my raises. That's when they just give me all their chips.
Tell him, honey.
It happens every day. It's amazing.
Every day.
2 out of 3 times they came over the top. Ooh, they think they can mess with me. Ooh. Let me just show them who I am.
He did fold, right?
Yes, he did, but he still finds some way to take center stage. So the younger Wisconsin Badger wins that duel. Out in the field, the youngins continues here at this feature table. Phil Hellmuth on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam at a jack and a 4 offsuit.
Mark Foss plays for money. Phil Hellmuth plays for bracelets. He's got 11 of them, plus 6 runner-up finishes at World Series events.
Phil raises it to 16,000 on Adam Zen, a 33-year-old sports betting consultant here in Las Vegas. King 10.
All right, I'm all in.
And the short stack moves all in for his remaining 26,000.
You don't even have to look, dude. You have to call.
I know.
It's nothing.
I know.
Enough for you to triple me up.
Ruthless Adam Levy.
He said he wanted to quadruple it before.
Come on, give me at least 3 people in this pot.
9-8 of diamonds.
Zen trying to drum up business.
Levy folds.
Boy, oh boy, I just don't want to have to show how ugly this hand is.
It is ugly, but he's got to call 10,000 more
He
here.
complains about not getting respect, and now we're going to see this.
It ain't that good.
Oh, no.
Phil's raised a couple of times with nothing.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate that quick double up.
Jackson Force, Jackson Force, Jackson.
10s and kings, you're saying? Say that again. 10s and kings? Think about
Or
it.
you can just win this pot with Jack 4 up.
10s and kings?
So Zen trying to double up. Oh, and he's in good shape as he pairs his king.
He's got running diamonds.
He ain't got nothing, because here comes the 3 of spade.
Diamonds away.
Phil on the losing end here, but in a good mood.
All right, how about an 8 of spade? That'll work.
Pair the bullet.
All right, I'll sweat a little. Give me a 3 of spade.
Yeah, I had 8-9 of diamonds.
Oh, there's a little sweat. That 6 gives Phil a straight draw.
So Hellmuth now can fill that straight with a river 3 and knock Zen out.
10 of spade.
River card. Oh, yeah. It's the 10 of spades. And Kings Up will win that hand for Zen. Somehow he worked that double up through Phil without incurring his wrath. How can that not be our planner's good instinct moment?
And good prognosticating, he called the 10 of spades.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have ace king. That would have been ugly. 10 on the river?
Not like it hurt, Phil.
No, nice hand.
Zen doubles up, and the poker brat is unusually gracious in defeat. Back to our featured table, and Phil Hellmuth. Hellmuth looks down at an 8. He has pocket 8s.
Oh no, I'm gonna do something here. This hand wasn't very good for me yesterday, though.
Let's think positive thoughts, my poker king.
Raised to 15,000.
Maybe today's a different day.
Today, like yesterday, Phil's face is on 12 million beer cans.
On to Adam Levy, Queen 10. He is a very powerful online player. People from all around the world log on to watch the guy they call Ruthless play.
He skipped last year's World Series so he could be a camp counselor in Georgia.
The flop with these guys heads up, 9-6 jack. Pair of 8s are still best for Hellmuth. Levy with an up and down straight draw.
Not the best flop for Phil to see, but he bets it.
20,000. Levy with the draw.
Yeah, why wouldn't he stick around with that straight draw?
A call. All right, so now the turn card. Turns an 8 of diamonds. Levy hits a straight, and that also gives Hellmuth a set.
That is an unfortunate card for Phil.
Phil checks.
Phil's slow playing it, not realizing how much trouble he's in.
Levy will not slow play his straight. Bets 37,000. And Phil with a quick call. A deuce on the river. Levy earns the check mark. He's got the straight.
It's a blank on the river, and Hellmuth's got to like his hand. Unfortunately for Phil, Adam Levy's got the nuts.
60,000 from Phil Hellmuth.
Phil value bets it.
Yeah, the queen 10 straight is just almost disguised with that board.
I'm not tricky enough to play queen 10 this good, am I?
Levy's the one with the queen 10.
Raise.
Levy announces raise up to 155,000.
Now that raise freezes Phil momentarily. Let's see if he comes back over the top with his set.
Phil just with a call.
Queen 10.
Yeah, Levy with a queen 10 and the win.
Called a race with a... He called a race with queen 10, honey.
I know, honey. He's some online guy.
I had a set. He's supposed to bust me anyway. Called a race with a queen 10. Turn that player.
I think he's from Florida or someplace stupid.
Called a race with queen 10. Idiot player.
Actually, he doesn't look like an idiot player, and I don't think he did anything wrong that hand.
This was bound to happen sooner or later.
He called a race with queen 10. How do these players, how are they even still in this tournament?
They let him in every day.
And I have a set.
I know you had a set, Puddin'.
It's just unbelievable. This kid probably won't last another hour.
Half hour tops.
I promise. Watch. He called a race with a queen and a 10.
A queen and a 10.
How do these players even last this long?
Don't know.
I mean, it's just so sick. They have no concept of
None.
poker.
It was an aggressive call.
Aggressive call? Idiot.
Frickin'
gave me a freaking... Nice deal in there. Mighty fine, buddy. Mighty fine. You know, I haven't won a pot one time. They've been just raising me and re-raising me all day.
Actually, this is a new dealer.
You give me a set.
I just sat down, though.
Unbelievable.
I am exhausted, Lon.
Idiot players call races with queen 10. They don't even know how to spell poker. I mean, like, this kid has all the chips. He probably won't even make the final 200.
Can you call a clock on tirades?
You showed a raise with Jack 4. What do you think the guy's going to do? Not call you?
Uh-oh.
Come on,
Buddy,
man.
you moved in with king 10, so please don't discuss poker with me.
A poker brat rant for the ages.
Well, let's just see what happens in 4 or 5 hours, son.
I'd rather just be friends.
No.
We're having good chats.
No, I think you want to give me a bunch of chips. I think you feel bad because you know you're not playing very well. And
Only thing bad I did was call raise queen 10 of clubs. Other than that, I think I played the hand pretty damn well.
I've got to agree with him, Honey Bunch.
All right, while Phil stews in his own table.
it might not be so easy to beat these two.
I'm sure you'll try.
We have to try, Evelyn. Come on.
I'm sure you'll love it too.
Evelyn is a Las Vegas pro. Tracy Wynn is the girlfriend of pro John Turner, a.k.a. Pearl Jammer. Tracy looks down at queen 10, offsuit. She'll fold. I guess she heard Phil yelling about queen 10 earlier. Alan Kennedy and those signature Phil Hellmuth glasses. He's got ace-king offsuit.
If I'd known I could have gotten a pair of those glasses, I would have attended Camp Hellmuth.
Kennedy, the student, bets 20,000 to the teacher, Phil Hellmuth. One king with pocket kings.
By the way, and I'm not making this up, if you join the Phil Hellmuth fan club, you can buy Phil Hellmuth clothing at a discounted rate.
A discounted rate. Hellmuth just calls with those kings.
By the way, if I were Alan Kennedy, I would not want to beat Phil in this pot. He's still in a mood.
Flop now is Trey 7-5. That misses both. Phil's kings still lead. Kennedy first to act. Bets out for 25,000.
I'm all in.
And Phil pushes all in.
Well, Phil with the right read here, and he hates pushing all his chips in, but he does.
A raise to 103,000. Kennedy needs 78 more to call.
Kennedy's ace-king missed the flop, but he has not folded yet.
I go.
Kennedy will call with a chance to knock off Phil Hellmuth.
Well, That would have been a pretty easy fold for Kennedy unless you're just dying to knock out Hellmuth.
That happens to Phil a lot.
Phil now at risk, and he's not going to be happy if he gets knocked out this way.
On the prowl to talk to his family.
Oh, boy. I have a bad feeling. I hope we can get by this.
Alan Kennedy trying to topple the Poker King.
Tell me no ace, please, girls.
Ace.
Let's see the turn card.
All right, now the turn card. It's a 5. Phil's still good.
Kennedy needs an ace to knock out Hellmuth.
It's not coming, no ace.
Let's see the river card.
River card. Phil is right. And Phil doubles up.
Phil's back in business, still below chip average, but he's got 263,000 of them.
Kennedy took his shot at Hellmuth.
Whew.
But Phil was able to dodge the outs, and Hellmuth doubles up.
I don't know how I would have handled it. I just didn't see it. Just really didn't seem just if an ace would have come.
It's your world, Phil, but sometimes it's unjust.
All right, back to the featured table where Phil Hellmuth seems to have quieted down for now, but even volcanoes bubble and boil just below the surface. Action on Evelyn Ng. Evelyn has had some success on the WPT, not as much at the World Series. Ace Queen of Hearts.
She is teenage chums with Daniel Negreanu. She does have 7 World Series cashes.
Born in Toronto. Raises to 21,000. Phil Hellmuth has King Jack offsuit.
He's my guy, but he can't keep calling others idiots. It's wrong.
Phil in the big blind makes the call. So Hellmuth and Evelyn Ng will go heads up to the flop. Flop is Jack 6-10. Hellmuth with a pair of jacks. Ng with a royal flush draw.
You know I never fold any straight flush draw, Lon. It's not in my DNA.
Phil checks. He's got the best hand right now with the jacks, but Evelyn, the favorite to win the hand, will bet 36,000.
She bets 2/3 the size of the pot.
Phil with the jacks does not hesitate to call.
My guy.
Turn card now. 3 of diamonds, no help to Ng. Phil checks again. How fun would it be to see a second royal flush at this main event?
Against Phil? We could charge admission.
Ng bets 55,000 again on the come.
Evelyn's going to semi-bluff it again, and Phil's going to check call again. How can't I love this guy?
River card now. A 4 of diamonds misses Evelyn. Hellmuth with 2 jacks earns the check mark, and he checks a 3rd time.
As you mentioned, Evelyn missed everything, so it's either wave the white flag or fire a 3rd bullet.
Here comes the bullet. 80,000.
Well, this time she bets just 1/3 of the pot. It's a bluff disguised as a value bet.
Phil with top pair. Makes the call. Evelyn shows her hand. Phil's is a lot better.
Another solid read by the poker brat / poker king.
A coy play there by Hellmuth. Check, 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 and take 200,000 off Evelyn Ng.
Been here lots of times, Mal.
Speech.
Many times came back and had all the chips. More than anybody in history.
Bracelets, money, and modesty. Phil Hellmuth is the total package. Another table, Phil Hellmuth is the only main event champion still in action, and he's still sitting with online phenom Adam Ruthless Levy.
Levy, a victim of Phil rant earlier on day 4.
Phil on a hand pre-flop right now with Finnish pro Santeri Valikoski. The flop is 5 ace deuce. Valikoski has a pair of 5s to lead. Hellmuth with a nut flush draw. Valikoski checks. Now Phil.
This is a bluff.
That's 15,000.
It is a semi-bluff, so Phil is semi-truthful.
Valikoski comes along with the call.
Valikoski likes to play floorball, whatever that is.
Another ace on the turn. Valikoski still with the best hand. And now he bets 25,000 with aces up.
Hellmuth on the flush draw.
I raise.
And he raises to 55,000.
Phil is representing the ace or a big pocket pair.
And Valikoski calls. Must have a read on Phil.
Valikoski is representing no fear.
River card is a 6. Valikoski earns the check mark. And he checks. Phil checks. Valikoski wins.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Uh-oh.
Phil's up. And rolling.
5-7. Idiot from Northern Europe.
Idiot from Northern Europe, Phil.
Call the race with 5-7. guy.
That was the idiot from Northern Europe versus the Renaissance man from Western America.
Freaking idiots. God, they play so bad.
Phil did all he could to get the fin off his hand, but those Northern Europeans are stubborn people. Back at the Rio, Phil Hellmuth still hasn't gotten over that last hand, and you know, Norman, he may never get over it.
What is going on here? I mean, I just can't believe this. God, I mean, do I ever catch a break? I got a guy calling a race with 5-7, out of position. He flops middle pair against 2 pair and over flush draw. Freaking idiot from Northern Europe waiting to give me all his money.
Personally, I think idiots from Southern Europe are more idiotic.
What were you hoping, that I had the nut flush draw, huh? That's what you're hoping for, huh?
Phil's out of line again, Lon. His great play does not excuse his boorish behavior. He's got to stop berating other players.
Now just 8 women remaining, but Hellmuth's still here, being visited by Chao Zhang.
I mean, they must have beat me 23 out of 25. I don't even know how many pots, but it's my turn now.
23 out of 25 now?
It's okay, Phil. You're the world champion.
It's my turn, baby.
You win 1 out of...
You're the world champion.
It's my turn, baby.
Hey, you're not lucky. You're the best in the world.
Like they did just...
Chao, of course, was eliminated on day 3, but he's here today to spread some joy, even to Phil.
Another player having some serious chip stack issues is Phil Hellmuth.
Idiot player.
I'm going to buy Phil a Slinky. I think it might calm him.
Meanwhile, Phil Hellmuth's chip stack not in very good shape right now.
They come from all over the world just to mess with you, huh?
Gus, I can, buddy. I can take it.
Gus Hansen checking in on Phil.
I played absolutely extraordinary poker. It's amazing I'm still alive.
I've heard the rumors. It's been great watching you.
The rumors reached your table?
You have no idea, Gus. If you had the cards I had, you would have been out an hour ago.
Hour 15, maybe.
Gus passing time at the sideshow that is Phil Hellmuth.
Hansen, of course, one of the top players and is known as the Great Dane. Phil Hellmuth has his own somewhat less flattering nickname. And while we've explored the long list of poker nicknames before...
He's not that bratty, is he?
The best I can do is like to...
Oh, that's right, he is.
Phil originally raised this action, but was re-raised by Adam Levy, a.k.a. Ruthless, and Phil calls that re-raise. And these two will tangle once again as we go to the flop.
Honey, this could be it, hon.
I'll warm up the rubber suit.
The flop is Queen, King, 5. Levy first to act. That's 75,000.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I just can't. It's like a nightmare is what it is. This guy went crazy with 2 9s. He's drawn dead. But he bet 75,000 anyway. I'm going to let him win this one too, I guess.
By this point, Adam Levy, I believe, could sue Phil for mental duress.
Not much justice here, you know what I mean? There really hasn't been much justice today, you know what I mean? I know, like, I think you probably went crazy with 8s or 9s, right? Or ace-jack or something.
Phil folds pocket jacks.
But I mean, if you're going to go crazy, you got to get punished one time, you know? I mean, it's not even fair.
Once again, you'd be out. Had you gotten all in there free.
You had ace-king and hit a king? What I can't believe is this is the World Series of Poker and you all play so bad it sucks. It's like I'm being tested. I passed the test.
Don't pray with your mouth full.
Please, at least let me break even. At least one of these idiots can move it in me and I can bust him soon. I've waited like 25 times.
Patience is a virtue.
Please.
One past world champion.
19 out of 20 pots I raised, they re-raised me and beat me. But I know what's going to happen, so I just patiently wait. No one survives this stuff except me. And all of a sudden it's going to go bam, bam, bam. They're just going to give me all the chips for no reason. It's so sick. It doesn't even make sense. It's like they have no pride, no patience. I'm steaming right now. I can't even see straight.
I can't believe we left Phil in mid-wine.
Back over to Phil Hellmuth now in a hand after the turn with Sarkis Akopian, who just raised enough to put Phil all in. Hellmuth now. Will make the call.
Only call on blue 13.
Hellmuth will be at risk.
Got an overpair?
Akopian with a pair of 10s. Hellmuth with trip 5s.
Remember, Akopian knocked out Jean-Robert Ballon earlier in the day on the river.
No 10, and I have 500,000. I'm 20-1 favorite for about 500, hon.
I know you are, Puddin'.
One card to come. Hellmuth all in.
Akopian would need a 10 to end Phil Hellmuth's main event and ignite the world's largest volcano.
River card is a queen, and Hellmuth will double up.
And we are spared more verbal carnage.
And Akopian gives new life to the 89 main event champ.
For me, I've got the action I want, I've got the table I want, I've got the image I want. It's the greatest sport in the world. Jordan?
Count it.
That was a layup double up for Phil Hellmuth, who has a lot of game left in him. By table, Brandon Cantu contemplating a bet from Phil Hellmuth on the turn.
God, for some reason, I just want to win this pot right now. I'm going to show it to you. Deuce 3 offsuit. But I'm going to show it to you.
If that's deuce 3 offsuit, I'm the Queen of England.
Cantu makes the call. And they will see a river card. And it is a 7 of hearts. Cantu checks.
Sixes. Of course, that's not good.
Phil has pocket sixes. Cantu, though, will win it with a better 2-pair.
Cue the Phil Hellmuth rant of background music.
Cantu may have just lit the fuse on Hellmuth.
We're all waiting, Phil.
All day with jacks and queens, I got to have sixes.
Cantu's hyper-aggressiveness should be an interesting matchup with Hellmuth.
Phil taking it out on his chip stack again. Come on, buddy. They've never done anything to you.
They're going to run over the guys that just move in, and they're going to run over Phil Hellmuth.
Remember,
I don't make many promises. Yeah, I know, buddy. You were in great shape. You just keep hitting your jack 8.
Phil's got to stop holding his feelings inside line. He's just got to let it all hang out.
Phil started the day with more than 500,000 chips, takes a step backward there. All right, let's once again go over to find Phil Hellmuth.
Honey, I'm all in.
Yeah, you heard him. He's all in after the flop against Brandon Cantu.
And Phil approaches his beleaguered support group.
Phil looks pleased with himself, though, with his all-in.
Show the bluff.
Cantu folds.
You folded? Yeah, I'm going to show you a bluff. Right.
Honey, he folded.
Hellmuth's table mates keeping Honey abreast of the situation.
Phil has rebounded quite nicely, up to 650,000 now, a bit below the average in the room, which is at 774,000.
Honey, I'm all in.
That's Barry Leventhal letting Phil Hellmuth's wife know he's all in. Action on Hellmuth.
I know you guys.
Best player in the world against the worst player in the world.
Hey, Phil, you might have a new friend. He just called you the best player in the world.
Big decision for Hellmuth.
What would Gus Hansen do in this situation? Gus, what would you do?
Oh, Gus happens to be nearby.
I know what Gus would do already. You moved on for $3.99.
That's right. $3.99. I have a feeling what I might do.
You're no kidding.
Phil Hellmuth making a decision for most of his chips.
Can you beat a bluff?
Oh, yeah.
In your head.
Ooh, a little Jedi mind trick against the master.
Hellmuth gives it up. Phil shows Queen 7 of diamonds, straight and flush draws.
It's up to Alex. Show it or don't show it.
Leventhal does not show, but he'll take that pot.
That's why he's the best in the world, and you guys are jerk-offs.
Barry Leventhal has a unique understanding of Phil Hellmuth's world.
Gus would have called right away. Oh, my God.
Well, Phil pretty much treading water today. Phil Hellmuth low on chips, but trying to get something going in a hand with Aaron Gordon here. All the cards out. Gordon has bet 35,000.
This is the deepest Hellmuth has made it in the main event since he finished 27th in 2003.
Phil makes the call. And shows pocket sixes. And he's reaching for the chips. But Gordon's going to win the hand with pocket tens.
Phil thought he'd won the pot.
Oh, my goodness.
This isn't good. This just can't be good.
The guy just slow-rolled me. It's not bad enough that I'm making world-class laydowns so you don't understand. The guy just slow-rolled me.
Aaron Gordon, a little slow turning over the tens.
Can we issue warnings for slow rolls?
I don't know if it's a violation of the rules, but it's an ethical situation. People just need to have respect for other players.
I mean, obviously it's an ethical situation, but I mean, I don't even think he understands.
No, Gordon is English. He speaks English, so I believe he understands.
The river they go. River's a 2 of clubs. Hellmuth checks it.
Phil has check called every step of the way.
Cantu pushes. Call. Phil makes the call and turns over 2 clubs for a flush. Brandon.
That's why I throw it away, boys.
Does not show.
That's why I throw it away.
Phil, of course, talking about his earlier laydowns that give him the opportunity to stick around and make this big call.
So Phil doubles through. Brandon can too. And this time it's Brandon who's going to get up and take a stroll.
Not trying to put anybody on tilt, but I'm calling with the jack.
So Phil Hellmuth at 748,000 chips now. Phil Hellmuth just slightly better than chip average. He's in a hand with Thomas Keller, who has just pushed all in.
I've heard you've been moving in every hand, and I've seen you move in 3 times. So I know you have a huge range to move in. I'm just afraid you might have king-queen. I can't beat king-queen. All right, I guess I'll lay it down. It's probably good against you, though.
Phil is an equal opportunity poker brat. He'll pick on amateurs and on bracelet winners.
You can't beat king 10, don't worry.
Look, I'm not going to show my hand.
No, I believe
I'll tell you
it was
what I
good.
had later. Well, because I had a pretty big hand.
You had a big hand, ace 7 offsuit.
There should be a sign on the wall. If you make a bet against Phil Hellmuth, be prepared to show proof of hand.
There, and nearby, looks like Phil Hellmuth has a new table.
Bottom set.
When did you get here?
It's Paul Snead, a New York pro.
The top 2 pair versus bottom set.
How you doing?
What are you going to do?
How are you? Good to see you. You remember me, right? We've got some history. I bluffed you last year, remember? You were pissed off at Mandalay Bay?
I don't remember, man.
And then we played the 5K and I knocked you out? You don't remember that?
I don't remember, dude.
All right.
But thanks for telling me you bluffed me.
Phil thought Snead was coming over to bust his dirty dish.
Well, it wasn't really a bluff. I mean,
As Phil likes to do, he greets his table mates before he sits down to play.
Oh, Phil doesn't shake everybody's hand.
He is enjoying his new chips, and I think he's going to enjoy his new table mate. Is Phil Hellmuth coming to the feature table?
You tell me Hellmuth and Mattisau are going to be at the feature table together?
Wow.
Global warming just became the second biggest threat to this planet's future.
By random draw, welcome Phil Hellmuth.
Yes! 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 There's a God! Yes! Look who they brought here!
They're sitting
king
next to each
himself.
other.
This is only the worst table in history.
Come on, bud. I know you're nervous.
No.
What did you do? Did you get all your money in bad again?
I shoved the 10-5, baby.
Moving with 10
I knitted it for all day long. What do you want me to do?
Come on, I don't even have my blood pressure medication with me.
Hey, how's it?
We already had the worst table in the history of poker, and then they bring this guy over.
This is going to be good. Hellmuth first to act, and on the Milwaukee's best side pocket cam, he showed a jack and a 4 into the muck. Back to our featured table where the World Championship bracelet presides, as do 2 big egos, Mattisau and Hellmuth.
Nuclear superpowers side by side.
All right, action on Christian Dragomir, though. Dragomir looks down at 10-4 diamonds.
Dragomir gets busy again.
Yeah. He's going to raise it to 80,000.
Didn't he bluff Chino with 10-4 earlier today?
He did.
He likes that hand.
Folds around to Phil Hellmuth.
In the small blind.
Phil's got an ace. Phil has ace-king.
You have aces?
I think Chino had ace-king, too, in that hand.
Chino did, you're right.
You might have aces. This is sick.
Y'all got a bed here?
Nah, you don't have aces. I think you have ace-queen.
Phil giving Dragomir too much credit.
A re-raise from Phil to 255,000 with ace-king.
Please, I pray to God he folds, Mike. Everybody else in the world wants you to move in with this hand. I'm praying you fold. Honey!
Yes, dear.
I hope he doesn't have aces. I'm going to show this hand afterwards.
Dragomir does not have aces. He has 10-4.
Don't worry, I'm going to show you.
Dragomir's going to call.
God.
I guess Dragomir wants to mix it up with a
175.
poker brat, and he's got his lucky 10-4.
So Dragomir and Hellmuth heads up to the flop. Ace-king against 10-4. Classic matchup. And there is a 10 in there. Dragomir takes the lead with a pair of 10s.
Check.
Dragomir with top pair.
You heard Hellmuth check. Now Dragomir.
Here we go, Mike. I can't believe this. They dealt me aces versus kings again right here. This is so sick.
Dragomir bets 300,000.
This idiot guy over here.
That was uncalled for.
I don't, you know what, Mike? I think he called the re-raise with ace-queen or something. He's just a crazy guy trying to go broke.
You put
Phil shows the
255
ace-king.
in. He put in like only 150.
Mike, you tell him what
Show him the 3-8 offsuit or something. No, 10-4, baby.
Phil is stunned.
That was worth the price of admission.
And everybody gangs up on Phil.
Phil had it coming.
That's his hand all day. That's his hand.
That's his hand. Three times.
He re-raised Chino with it. He called me with it. He called Phil with it.
This is how I lose my money to some idiot.
I show ace king impulse.
He's now said idiot 2 times too many.
I'm going to tell you something, buddy. You want to hear what I have to say? This is
No, after you learn some manners, yes.
Forget it. Forget it.
Before that, whatever.
Well done, Christian.
Buddy, you're an idiot, is what you are.
That's 3 times.
This is the state of poker.
But I'm an idiot with a stack. you don't have a stack. Whatever.
Someone puts in $400,000 with 10-4 and the crowd celebrates like it's a good play. This is the state of poker. The guy is the worst player in history, and they're cheering. You are an idiot.
4 times.
Did you see what this idiot just did?
5.
Man.
He played with a 10-4,
I had enough of that. This is the 10th time. You are an idiot. Come on, what is this?
Dragomir fighting back.
What is the 10th time? What is this?
I apologize, but I don't like the way you play poker. That's all.
Whatever.
That's
I
all
don't want you playing poker.
I won't say anything more to you.
I don't want you
Phil
playing
way
poker.
out of line
You're the
here.
worst player around. I won't call you. Let's go.
Yeah, but he has like 3 million. He wanted to pump you up because he likes
guy
you.
won't.
Just playing my
You won't
hand.
last 10 minutes tomorrow, I don't think, to be honest.
It cost me, it cost me like 10 grand to get in this tournament. It cost you nothing. So just leave me blow away my 10,000, okay? Okay?
You need to
He's
chill out
right.
of line, Phil.
Okay.
You need to chill.
Buddy, that's sick.
I don't care. You're way out of line.
We love to watch the act, but Hellmuth's actions here are deplorable.
I understand. He sucked down on you, but okay, it's poker. It's poker.
To you, it's poker, man. To me, this is my life.
The poker brat received a 9-hand penalty for his outburst against Christian Dragomir. Hellmuth appealed. The penalty was overturned, so Phil starts day 6 in action.
Phil's dreams of winning a second World Series main event bracelet are still alive.
Little brawl going on here last night. Anybody read that write-up last night? No?
The 10-4? The 10-4?
Christian Dragomir was very successful playing the 10-4 a couple of times on day 5.
The big re-raise?
No, he didn't move in. If he moved in, I wouldn't have been so upset.
It wasn't a brawl, it was simply Phil stepping out of bounds. Hellmuth excusing himself, but there is no excuse for his tirades.
On the E-Trade financial chip count, you see Tiffany Michelle's chip stack good enough for 4th place. Other notable chip stacks right there. Phil Hellmuth starts the day with 721,000. The top stacks at this featured table belong to Irishman James McManus with more than 2.4 million. About the same total, Kelly Kim from Southern California and Jason Riesenberg from right here in Las Vegas with 2.2 million.
And the international trend we have seen the last few years continues. 1/3 of the remaining players in the main event are foreign-born.
Action on James McManus on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam, Queen 6 offsuit.
At 23, he's one of the youngest left in the field, and McManus has a chance to beat Phil Hellmuth's record as youngest main event champion ever.
He raises it to 77,000. Phil Hellmuth looks down at come on, Phil. King Queen offsuit.
I don't know what to do with Phil on. Even if his outbursts weren't against the rules, Phil's wrong. You just don't treat people that way.
He will call McManus's raise, and these two will be heads up to the flop. The flop is Jack 7 Queen. Each pair their queen. Phil has the better kicker. McManus first to act. Makes it 115,000. And Phil with an immediate call.
Phil minding his P's and Q's at the moment.
Turn card, 5 of clubs. No help to McManus, who's way behind. But McManus will bet it. Makes it 190,000. And Phil's right on his tail.
Phil wasting no time telling McManus, I have you in my sights, son.
River cards a king, and Hellmuth earns the check mark. He's got kings up, but there's a 3rd diamond on the board. McManus checks now.
Finally slows down. I gotta believe Phil likes his hand, but he might be worried about those diamonds and the straight draw out there.
He's got chips in his hand.
Oh, I'm not sure you can call. Let me just think.
Phil might be figuring if he bets, McManus will either fold or raise, so maybe he should play it safe.
I pretty much have the nuts, but I'll check.
Phil checks.
Got a queen.
1 pair for McManus, 2 pair for Hellmuth will win the pot.
Well, if Phil had served his penalty, he would have been blinded off 81,000 chips. Instead, he adds 400,000 chips to his stack. Big difference.
A better start to day 6 than an end to day 5 for Phil Hellmuth as he continues his pursuit of World Series history. Speak of the devil.
I'm sorry. Yesterday, my fault. Sometimes I'm just too much of a jerk,
No,
you know.
no,
so.
you're not.
Sometimes,
if you don't,
sometimes I'm too much of the poker brat. So my fault. I apologize. Sit down. Don't miss your hand.
I thought
That's okay. No problem, man. It was my fault. You really didn't do anything wrong. I just I play so hard for 5 or 6 days, and then to have that happen just freaked me out a little bit. But
Even when Phil apologizes, it comes with an asterisk. In Phil's world, it's always about Phil. And hey, I'm sure Adam Levy will get his apology in the mail. $9 million to the winner. I expect a cut.
All right, action continues now at our featured table. The blinds at 15 and 30,000. Phil Hellmuth. Phil with ace queen offsuit.
What are we going to do with Phil? Greatest record in World Series history, but when he acts the way he acts, what else are we going to talk about?
From the small blind, he will limp in to Alan Kennedy. In the big blind, he has 7-5.
Remember, Kennedy, a Camp Hellmuth grad.
Yeah, and he switched out his signature Phil Hellmuth sunglasses for some reason. Flop is Jack 7-6. Kennedy leads with a pair of 7s.
Now see, Phil didn't raise Kennedy out. He just got out flopped, and eventually it will be Alan Kennedy's fault.
They both check the flop. Turn card is another 7. Trips for Kennedy, gives him the check mark. Phil, first to act, reaching for chips. We'll bet 40,000.
Well, the world's greatest Hold'em player is drawing dead and leading out.
I'll show this one. Let's go to the next hand.
I'll go.
Oh my God.
Kennedy just for the call.
What did I get myself into here? It was such a perfect little trap here. Might have trapped myself.
Phil talking about a trap that is not existent in this hand.
Might have trapped myself.
Alan makes the call.
All right, now the river card is an 8 of clubs. Kennedy already had the check mark. Hellmuth now checks.
Hellmuth gives up on the trapping scam.
Kennedy now with his 3 7s. That's 80,000. Phil folds his ace queen face up.
That ended abruptly and quietly.
And Kennedy will take his former instructor's chips.
Lays it down. Alan's going to take this pot.
Man, come on. Just trying to trap my buddy from Georgia.
Do you think I'm actually staying in with nothing?
You had
think I'm
to.
staying in with nothing?
You had to. Before the flop, I made you.
Well, hey, you gave me that chance. I mean, damn.
My goodness, almost a civil conversation. See, buddy, you can do it.
Let's get right to the featured table. And Phil Hellmuth. Phil's got a deuce. Phil has ace deuce.
Since winning the big one in '89, Phil's made it back to the main event final table only once in 2001. He finished 5th.
A raise to 90,000 to his buddy Alan Kennedy with queen 10. And Kennedy makes the call.
So the Camp Hellmuth grad will come along with the Camp Hellmuth founder.
Jack deuce 9. Hellmuth pair of deuces. Up and down straight draw for Kennedy.
See how Phil teaches that posture at Camp Hellmuth?
They both check. Still a 50-50 proposition. 8 of hearts and the straight hits Kennedy.
Yahtzee for Kennedy.
Hellmuth, though, drawing dead and betting again.
Yeah, the world's greatest Hold'em player, Lon, drawing dead and leading out again.
Kennedy comes along just for the call.
Well, I guess the student learned how to trap at Camp Hellmuth.
River card now is an ace. Phil catches aces up, but that's not going to be good enough.
And that's really not good for Phil. He's been betting with bottom pair, so he certainly might want to bet with aces up now.
175.
And he will, 175,000.
And Kennedy, of course, with the straight. He knows his hand is good unless Phil was on a diamond draw.
I'm all in.
All in.
I guess he doesn't figure it Phil for a diamond draw.
No immediate eruption from Phil.
175 is in.
Here we go, Thomas.
Remember, Adam Levy also had queen 10 against Phil, hit a straight on the turn, and that caused an eruption.
Either he's got me or he doesn't.
I guess it's still 50-50. He's going to win or lose.
Boy, oh boy. All right.
Phil calls.
We got straight.
Phil makes the call.
Another queen 10.
Alan rolls over.
Boom, baby.
Hellmuth trying to hold it together.
Has to be careful. He's been warned once already by tournament officials.
Touchdown, Georgia, baby. Go Bulldogs.
He called a raise with queen 10 offsuit. The same thing the first day.
Here we go.
Oh my God, in heaven. I guarantee I didn't teach you that at Camp Hellmuth.
No.
This isn't the agony of defeat. This is the agony of being Phil. My advice to Phil would be go play video poker, No idiots and no bad beats on a video poker machine, but don't forget to bring quarters.
I can't get a penalty. I can't tell him what he really is.
He raises to 100,000.
I can't tell him the truth. I can't say they're going to give me a penalty.
Better keep a cork in it. Action on Kelly Kim, also known as KK from Whittier, California. He's got a king. Kelly's going to slow roll us. He's got ace-king.
Kim is 31. Almost everyone left in the field in their 20s or 30s.
Raised to 90.
KK raises to 90,000.
Phil Hellmuth is one of the old men left at 43.
And action does fold around to the poker brat. Hellmuth looks down at a tray. He has pocket trays.
Oh, I have kind of a bad feeling about this hand.
Yeah, so just let it go.
No, I
Calls.
can't fold this hand ever.
The big blind he calls for 60,000 more.
He can't fold it ever?
He'll go heads up against Kelly Kim. The flop, 6-5 king. Kim leads with a pair of kings. Hellmuth first to act. Goes for 90,000.
Phil should be whining about himself today. It just hasn't been one of his better days of poker.
Badly timed bets. Kim does call for 90,000.
I ran into Phil a little earlier. We have about 60 players left. He said 40 of them play bad.
A queen on the turn is no help to Hellmuth.
I check.
Card is the queen of hearts. Bill checks.
Now Kim with the top pair.
And he's confident it's good.
150,000.
Called me just to bluff me on 4th straight? Really?
Actually, he called you with the best hand.
Huh?
I wouldn't dare do that.
You knew what I had before the flop when I called, didn't you? It's Phil Hellmuth. I had to have at least a pocket pair. I'm not a queen 10 guy.
You ought to try it sometime.
Yeah, I tried it in my 20s. I got rid of that play when I was 21.
Phil cracks me up, and he cracks Alan Kennedy up.
Well, what can I do?
He calls.
You got me.
Confident his trays are good.
I check.
Checks in the dark.
Pair the board, please.
River card does pair the board. Another queen, but king's up for Kelly Kim. Gives him the check mark. Phil already checked. Kim now bets 250,000.
Now, Phil gave Kim some information before. If Kim believes Phil had a pocket pair, Kim knows he can still beat Phil.
Hellmuth calls and loses again.
That's what we're talking about.
Kelly Kim on a nice run.
Yeah, and another bad read from Phil Hellmuth.
I called you down. You know what I called you with?
What, 2 8s?
Nope, 2 3s.
Wow.
That was a nice hand, KK.
Well, nice to hear the poker brat handing out some props for a change to our featured table. And the headliner there, of course, the poker brat, Phil Hellmuth, on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam. Phil,
Check.
always slow to squeeze. Pocket nines.
Hellmuth, the only one in this room who can win a second main event title. The only one who can win a 12th bracelet.
Phil limps in. Alan Kennedy's not going to join the party. He folds.
I think he folded queen 10.
Kelly Kim, 9 deuce of clubs in the small blind. Cost him 20,000 to call, and he limps in also. In the big blind, 35-year-old self-described ski bum from Truckee, California, Tony Scherer, with queen 10.
It's like a stacked deck. There's always a queen 10 against Phil.
He checks his option, 3 limpers to the flop. Flop is 4-10-7. Scherer paired that 10.
And the queen 10 always flops or turns a hand.
Kim checks, he missed the flop. Scherer with top pair checks as well. Hellmuth. He's not been checking a lot today.
65.
He's going to bet 65,000 with pocket nines.
How many times have we seen him limp in instead of raising out the big blind? And then how many times have we seen him then bet with the worst hand?
Kim folded. Scherer now.
I'm all in.
Moves all in on Hellmuth.
Raise all in.
I think I have money.
Another bad read.
I talked him into raising by acting weak on the flop and standing up. I gave him a false tell, but I'm strong.
Well, Phil's not that strong after the flop, and if he calls here for the rest of his chips, he could be out of the main event momentarily.
God, I'm just a little confused. I was trying to send him a weak tell. This is where I get confused and lose pots sometimes, because I'm really strong and I send the weak tell, and then they move in weak.
Key moment for Hellmuth, a decision for all his chips.
But you can have this one.
Phil was ready to fire, but after second thoughts correctly folded, that is the planter's good instinct moment.
Oh, and if Scherer had showed the Queen 10, lives could have been lost.
Hellmuth might have just saved his main event with that smart laydown. So from the biggest stack back to the featured table where it has not been Phil Hellmuth Appreciation Day. He's lost about half his stack. There's a little more than 400,000 left. Action will begin with Phil. He's got an ace and a queen.
I'm all in.
All in.
Phil moves all in.
Phil with just 10 big blinds left, a time when you have to think about making a move. Ace-queen makes it an easy decision.
Action on Andrew Roskam with pocket jacks from Cleveland, Ohio.
Roskam, a former investment banker. He's set to attend Harvard Business School.
26 years old.
Honey, I'm all in, honey.
On the right, Phil's wife, Kathy, with his sister, Molly. And Roskam will make that call and put Hellmuth at risk.
Remarkably, Phil's been knocked out holding ace-queen in the last two main events.
Phil turns over 2 overcards, but he's going to need to catch to stay in the main event.
Hellmuth has had a rocky day, and he needs it to turn around right here, else he will be out.
Andrew Roskam with the chance to knock off the last remaining main event winner from this field.
And Hellmuth right now just seems melancholy, awaiting his fate.
It's the first time I've been in like 2 days, 3 days or something.
Phil just seems played out.
Let's see the flop, please.
All right, now the flop. Hellmuth at risk. 4-king tray. Roskam still leads.
Phil's still looking for an ace or a queen, or running hearts or straight cards.
Hellmuth back to the table now for a closer look at this turn card. Turn is a 10 of hearts, and now with flush and straight draws, Phil Hellmuth.
That's a good sweat.
The one and only Phil Hellmuth with a lot of ways out now. The 89 champ needs an ace, a queen, a jack for a straight, or any heart to stick around for another title drive.
The river card, a deuce of spades, and Hellmuth is gone.
I get so unlucky in this tournament.
45th place for Hellmuth.
We give him a lot of grief deservedly, but you have to feel for Hellmuth at a moment like this. As he said, the World Series is his life.
It was a deep and volatile run in the main event for Phil Hellmuth, but now he must take the most painful walk in poker.